Yo, yo, yo.
Ooh, we are back.
We are back. The Mike and Mike show.
And that
All
little
right.
intro always gets me so hyped.
I know, right? gets us ready to go. All right. All right. So we're back every Friday with the free training and then getting into the Q&A side of things for you guys to be able to ask any questions that you have. Let me get a quick mic check since I'm outside. Mike, do I sound all right? We're doing
Yes,
all right?
sir. You sound good. Yes, sir.
Cool. No sirens going on yet, so we'll be all right for now. But but today what we're going to talk about is stop wasting your time with dead leads. We're going to talk about how to qualify leads. And what I mean by dead leads are just people that you get on the phone with and they're just ultimately like taking up your time on that call, and it's just they're not qualified for the service, they're not ready for it. Of course, there's ways to limit the amount of dead leads that you have, but at the end of the day, like, you're always going to have some people that you hop on a call with that just aren't qualified for what you do. However, today what we're going to talk about with this training is a few ways that you can kind of set the stage for that transaction or for that relationship in order to start off in the right way and have that person understand what they're getting into. Because a lot of times, when we hop on calls and people aren't qualified, it's because they didn't understand what the call was for, right? Like, sometimes we go into a discovery call or something like that, and it's like a connection call. It's not a sales call, right? And the reason why it's a connection call and not a sales call is because we didn't set the stage before hopping into that call. So today we're going to talk about a process that we utilize within both of our businesses, with our agency and with our coaching business, in order to essentially set the stage with these potentials that we're talking to through the direct messages, through ads, whatever the case may be, in order to have them understand what the call is and also understand the urgency of the matter, right? Like, getting to the point, making sure that we're getting action takers on the calls and not just people that are going to take up time.
Bingo. Let's dive in.
Cool. Let's do it. All right, cool. So the first thing that we always talk about is the VSL. And the VSL stands for video sales letter. And basically what a video sales letter is it's essentially, you usually want it anywhere between like 5 and 15 minutes, depending on how in depth your offer is. But you essentially want to be able to set up a video that really takes care of most of your side of the discovery call, so that they already understand, who you are, what you do, maybe a little bit of background about like your experience, a little bit of testimonials, and then the main part of it is you want to handle the objections before the call. So think about your offer, think about the things that you provide your clients, and think about, based off of the calls that you've been on with potential clients, think about what the usual objections are and try and handle those in your video sales letter, so that when they come to that call, those objections are already handled. So it might be something like, an objection that you come across might be, I'll get started next week, right? And maybe you're a fitness coach and it's like, yeah, I'll get started, next month or whatever. Like, I'm really busy right now, right? So you can handle that objection in the VSL. Towards the end of the VSL, you could say something like, a lot of people that I talk to on a day-to-day basis are constantly pushing this commitment until next month. But understand and realize that if you don't take action now, then your body or your confidence or whatever the case may be will not change. And you will go through another month of feeling the way that you're currently feeling, right? So when you handle that objection in a VSL, now that objection is already out of their mind when they show up to the phone call or the discovery call.
Boom. Yeah, no, you hit that perfect. And the big thing with the VSL is exactly that, is just getting them prepped for what the context of the conversation is. And a lot of times it's going to make your call smoother, a lot shorter. It's going to be short, sweet, to the point. And it can almost be leveraged as kind of like a connection call, but at the same time, like, overall for a purpose, it's connecting, to see like if this is a good fit for the both of us, type of thing. And it's a really important thing to implement specifically for that reason, because a lot of times what you'll find yourself doing and what you can leverage this type of call for is when you're repeating yourself on these types of discovery calls, like when you find yourself explaining what you do over and over and over again, and it's funny because you might catch yourself in that point, like where you're taking a bunch of calls where it's like, man, did I already say this to that person? Because you're like explaining your service, when in reality that could just be repurposed into, you know, a VSL that could almost like qualify them for the call, so that way they can take the opportunity to cancel or reschedule if they know it's not a good fit based on the VSL, you know?
Yeah, and just like Mike said, you know, this is like the number one way to take your discovery calls from like 30 minutes to like 7 to 15. You know, like
Yeah.
really cut those discovery calls down to the point where, you know, people will come to the call and they'll just be about business. You know, they'll be like, "All right, I already know what you offer. I already know what you have to say. So like, what are the details? Tell me about the program. What does it involve?" Right? So like sometimes you can even skip a 2-call system with a VSL because that VSL does a lot of the talking for you. So that first call can sometimes turn into the closing call because that person just sees the opportunity and they want to take action, right? And that's the whole goal of the VSL, is like inform so much and also provide value in a sense, handle the objections and put them in a place where they're just like, all right, cool, what are the details? I'm ready. You know, that's the idea of it. And of course, like in a perfect world, that happens every time. It doesn't happen every time, of course. Like you're still gonna hop on discovery calls, but the idea of this whole qualification process is to get people to the point where they understand that this discovery call is not just for us to like, you know, have coffee and have a chat. You know, this is for us to see if there's potential for us to work together. So that kind of leads us to our second point of the qualification process, which is qualifying questions. So what I'm actually mentioning when I'm talking about qualifying questions is not qualifying questions in the conversation, which are also an important piece of the puzzle, but qualification questions in your booking calendar. So I see so many people making the mistake when they're booking calls for just asking for like full name, phone number, email, you know? And like, what do you get out of that? You know, yes, you get a phone number. Yes, you get an email. Now you own your traffic instead of just like, you know, taking traffic off of the internet. But in reality, you're still in the position where you have no idea about this person on the other side, you know? So what you want to do with your qualifying questions is you want to set up a form for your calendar booking that goes a little bit more in depth. And like, this is also going to help weed out the BSers, because people are going to come at you and be like, yeah, the form is way too long. And it's like, all right, like if you can't fill out a friggin' six question form, then like we're not going to work together anyway, you know? Like, and that's kind of the attitude you have to have about your service, is like, you have the confidence in what you provide and you have the service that you know that people need. So once you have that confidence, you have to kind of stand in that confidence and put yourself in a position where you can, you know, like have the information that you need on that discovery call. Because in reality, like when you have a form that asks you like, okay, you know, what are you currently doing in revenue on a monthly basis? And there's like, you know, under 10K, 10K to 25K, 25K to 50, 50 plus, whatever the case may be. If you have a form like that, it's much less personal. If I ask you straight up, hey, what's your revenue? You feel like a little bit like nervous, like, oh, I don't really want to talk about money, because for some reason money's like looked down upon to talk about as human beings, right? But when it's a computer, when it's a form, we're a little bit more open to answering that question, because it's just like there's not that like one-on-one communication where people start to like bottle themselves, right? So if we have those qualifying questions in that form, that gets people to the point where they're like, okay, cool, so I'll just fill this out. Now when you show up to your discovery call, you're like, all right, cool, this person, you know, here's their website. They're currently doing 25K a month. Their budget for my service is yada yada. Like, now you can go into that call and understand where that person's at a better level. And some people aren't going to truthfully answer the questions. Like, of course, some people are going to just like say under 10K and like under 1K on the form just to make it sound like they don't have any money, because they don't want you to take advantage of that. We've seen that before with our service. But at the same time, you're putting yourself in a position to gain more information on the front end. And it's a way to really streamline this. So if you're currently somebody that has, you know, phone number, email, please share any more information for the call, you got to add some more in depth, especially on your discovery calls, in order to put yourself in a position to really understand who the prospect is on the other line when you get on that call.
Yeah. And this is another thing that'll also save you time on the call too, because and almost like position the person that's coming on the call like for to what it's going to be about. It gives them a little bit of an idea, like, okay, this guy wants to talk about these specific things. Like, it gives you a little bit more background. But I think there's like two big takeaways that you can get from implementing qualification questions on the front end of your booking calendar. And number one, like Mike said, it's going to weed out the people that that aren't serious and chatting about what you do, because they don't want to fill out the form or whatever. And then number two, it's going to give you information that you can use on that actual call, when you're on the discovery call. So that way you can reference it. Hey, you mentioned, you're having a problem with weight loss. I have this and this that can, structure, to help you do, combat that. So there's a lot of good information that you can get out of those qualification calls, but at the same time, weed out the people that aren't serious about what you have to talk about, So perfect.
Exactly. Like, the discovery call is still necessary. This doesn't get rid of the discovery call. It just adds layers of information so that that the discovery call is worth your time, and then the last one that we're going to get into with this qualification process is a pre-call video. So a lot of times you'll see this with like sales funnels, where once you book a call with somebody, it'll push you to a like thank you page that has like a quick video that thanks somebody for the call. But you can do this through organic outreach too, where you set up some sort of thing with an automation in your back end. Check out our CRM, Free99Leads, app.free99leads.com. But you can actually set up automations to be able to set it up so that when someone books a call with you, they get a confirmation email, and then they also get another email that says like, please watch this video before our phone call, right? And that video can set the stage for the call. So a lot of times what we used to do, or what we still do with our agency side of things, is we have a video that basically tells them, our calendars are packed with appointments on a day-to-day basis with people who are ready to take action in getting their brand featured in publications, because that's what we do with the agency side. But we set the stage with like, hey, listen, our calendar has been packed. So if you're somebody that has goals that you want to hit in the next 2 to 3 months, then like, this is the right fit for you. Like, we're looking forward to chatting with you, learning more about your business, this and that. If you're not one of those people and you're looking to talk about maybe something that's, a year from now or whatever, like, maybe we should set up another time, right? Like, we're just being real, because at the end of the day, you have to understand that like your time has to be focused on people that are ready to take action now, and like creating that relationship with potential prospects that are at a later date. Like, yes, that's still something that can be of value. But reality is when you're a business owner that's juggling multiple different things and you don't have a team yet and you don't have all these different aspects, you have to focus your time on what matters. And what matters is people that are willing to take action in the next 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, no, and all of these things overall, or the main goal is to make the call, the discovery call, the first call, short, sweet, and to the point, to give you as much information that you need, so that way you're not asking questions that don't need to be addressed on the discovery call, but at the same time it gives you information that you can leverage in the call. So the whole goal is to save time on these calls, get straight to the point, but at the same time have purpose behind it. You don't want to have like undirected conversations, if that makes sense. Like, there should be a whole purpose and intent for that call.
100%. Cool.
Perfect.
Well, that brings you through the 3-step process. So just to bring them up one more time so you can see them if you're taking notes. VSL is on the front end. So before they book the call, they watch the VSL, and then you send them the calendar link. And then the qualifying questions are on the calendar link, so you can qualify them based off of specific questions. And then the pre-call video is after they book the call, they go through a video in order to understand exactly what the call is about and really set up that urgency so that people understand like, okay, cool. Like, if I'm going to hop on this call, I need to be about the actual call, and I need the service. So I need to take action, right? So from here on out, that was a solid walkthrough of the process. So we're going to go ahead and open up Q&A for you guys. So if you guys have any questions, drop them into the comment section. We can go ahead and see them. If you do go into the link in the description of this video, you can verify your name so that we can address you by name. If not, no worries. But at the end of the day, We just want to be able to create that connection and be able to really answer the question and anything that you guys have that comes up. So like I said, go ahead and pop in, ask some questions. We'll give it a minute or so for you guys to hop in there, and
Yeah,
we're ready
and
to go. So
yeah, and I want to address this comment that was in here. 15-minute discovery call is definitely what the goal should be. 15 minutes or less, and definitely, straight to the point. Like, figure out, does the person have the problem that your solution will help? Like, I think that's very, very well worded. So I appreciate you throwing that in there. And we've got a question in here. Amy, is confidentiality implied or is explicitly stated? Perfect. Yeah, no, I think that's really good. That's a really good question, and specifically at the end, how do you collect cancellations if they decide after the pre-call video that it's not for them? I think that's really well, and the best way to do that is incorporate it into the overall like confirmation email. So obviously, like, the confirmation email is probably going to have like that pre-call video in it. So what we do is, like, in that confirmation email, it has like the pre-call video, like the subject is like, hey, watch this before the call. And then it's like, we've confirmed your call. And then we'll have like, watch this video, and then it'll have like add the call to, or add the calendar event to your Google Calendar, Outlook, iCalendar, whatever it is. And then you can also put in there like, reschedule links, cancellation links, and I think there might be something else that you can throw in there too, for them to go ahead and basically redirect them to another booking. But yeah, that's all stuff that can be done through that intro message, directly tied into like the overall like calendar links through the Free99Leads platform. So the best thing about that is that can all be done automatically.
yeah, yeah, and the other thing too is like a way that you can, because I know, Amy, that we're a big fan of like driving people somewhere and not just leaving them as cancellations. So something you could also incorporate into, or we could incorporate into the confirmation email, is if they do, cancel, we can set up something where it's like in the email it says like, if you feel like right now isn't a good fit for this call, or something like that, something along the lines of that, and we can drive them towards a Facebook group or something like that where they can continuously get value. So we want to still be able to take advantage of those leads. If they're not fit for the service now, that's fine, but we can push it to a later date. So the pre-call video just really helps to set the stage. And I also wouldn't recommend like the pre-call video to be like too pressy. Like, you don't want to say like, hey, if you're not ready to pay for my service, then don't book this call. But you also just want to set the stage and have another way of like that touch point. So just having another way to say like, just having like another way to say, thank you for booking the call. Just wanted to set the stage so that you understand what this call is for,
Yeah, and actually, like, the best way to handle the cancellation thing is to have that set up as an automation. So basically, what would happen is someone would cancel the appointment, or specifically in this case, cancel the appointment, and then they would be put into like they would be triggered into like a campaign that's like, hey, I noticed you canceled the appointment. Right now might not be a good fit for whatever reasons, that's totally fine. But at the end of the day, like, I would love to have you in my Facebook group. You can join the link. You can join by clicking the link here. So that's a way that you can kind of preface that without being like, hey, like, if you want to cancel, like, go into this link.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do that. And Amy will actually set that up for you. Perfect.
Cool. Anybody else have any questions?
Perfect. Yeah, and Amy, exactly. If they cancel, if they feel it's not a good fit, exactly, point them in another direction. And that's a big like goal that we try and accomplish with the entire Free99Leads system, is to make sure that there's no cracks that a prospect can slip through. Because at the end of the day, like, as long as we can keep providing them value, keep getting them touch points in front of their face, as a coach, that's exactly what you want. A lot of times these people are not going to commit on the very front end, but it might be something that they commit to 6 months down the line, but at the end of the day, that only happens because you continue to get in front of them. So yeah, leveraging Facebook groups, email lists definitely is key for those types of situations. But perfect.
Cool. Doesn't look like we got any other questions, so perfect.
Let's wrap it up.
It was a good one.
All right,
Appreciate
we'll catch you
everybody.
guys on the next one. Sorry, I cut you off, Mike.
No, my Siri like always pops up when I say anything. So I was like, let's see. I think we got one more. So on the confidentially question, with the nature of my work, I might be asking questions that feel personal to them as confidentially, but or are they expecting me to verify content? So yeah, I mean,
I got you. Yeah.
yeah, you could set something up within the form that just lets them know, like, just to make them feel more comfortable. You could have something in the form where on top it just lets them know, like, hey, everything that's answered on this form is just between me and you. This is just so I can understand where you're currently at and how I can serve you and how I can help you.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't understand that the right way when you first mentioned that. But yeah, no, that's exactly right. And that's another thing that you can also incorporate into like your privacy policy or terms and conditions, is just the fact that like any information that is obtained through this site, your domain name, implied. So that way it just kind of expresses like your overall site as a whole. And that's also going to be something that's very good for like legal circumstances too, just to be fully compliant with everything. Because I know there are like GDPR things and stuff like that that are definitely things about people's information. But those are all things that we have inside of the system as well that we can implement. Full disclosure, will my VA see the information? As far as VA seeing information, that can all be addressed in the back end. You can set user permissions. You actually don't even have to have like VAs in your back end. They actually don't really need access into like your app platform. It's something that you can specifically tie into certain users as far as who's able to see form submissions. And yeah, privacy policy is 100% like, recommended with anything that you're obtaining information from, especially just for like legitimacy as to like your operation too. If people see you have a terms of and conditions, a privacy policy in place, it's definitely going to be, better viewed apart as on your end, Cool. Glad we could help you out, Amy. If you have any other questions, let us know. And for anybody else that's watching this too, that come in, after this is already posted, they're watching the replay or whatever. If you have any questions about this entire process, as far as what we were talking about in this video, drop them in. We'll keep our eyes peeled and we'll come back and give you the response that you need.
Yes, sir. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will go ahead and catch you next Wednesday for another training. Everybody have a good weekend. Happy Easter.
Adios.